Imagine walking into a room and no one says a word. The conversations continue. People laugh. Some are staring at their phones. Nothing dramatic happens. Then, someone looks up. A woman glances at you. She looks away. A few seconds later, she looks again. Not because you're the richest man in the room. Not because you're wearing designer clothes. Not because you're trying to impress anyone. But because something about your presence feels different. Thousands of men practicing semen retention describe moments like these. They talk about strangers making prolonged eye contact, people starting conversations more often, or feeling treated with a different kind of respect. Some interpret these experiences as proof that retention creates a special magnetic energy. Others argue that the explanation is much simpler: increased confidence, calmer body language, and heightened self-awareness. So what is really happening? Is semen retention itself causing people to notice you? Or does the discipline of retaining change your behavior in ways that naturally influence how others perceive you? Today we're going beyond internet myths and viral claims. We'll explore psychology, body language, hormones, ancient philosophy, the Bible, history, and the personal experiences of thousands of men. Not to convince you of magic, but to understand why mastering yourself can sometimes change how the world responds to you. Because attraction isn't just about appearance. It's about perception. And perception begins long before anyone speaks. Think about two different men. The first man wakes up exhausted. He spends hours scrolling social media. He constantly compares himself to others. He chases validation. He avoids eye contact. His shoulders are slumped. His mind is scattered. He walks into a room almost apologizing for taking up space. Now picture another man. He wakes up early, exercises consistently, keeps promises to himself, controls his impulses instead of letting them control him. He speaks slowly, moves deliberately, looks people in the eye without aggression or insecurity. He isn't trying to prove his worth. He's simply comfortable with who he is. Which man do you think naturally attracts more attention? The answer has very little to do with mystical energy. People are constantly reading subtle social signals, often without realizing it. Researchers in psychology have found that posture, facial expressions, eye contact, vocal tone, and emotional regulation all shape first impressions. Much of this processing happens automatically. Before we've consciously evaluated someone, our brains are already forming judgments based on countless small cues. When people say, "There's something about him," they may be responding to a combination of those cues rather than to a single hidden force. Now consider what semen retention often represents. For many men, it's not just the absence of ejaculation. It's the beginning of a larger transformation. Less pornography, more exercise, better sleep, improved nutrition, meditation, prayer, reading, purpose. Those habits can influence confidence, mood, and the way a person carries themselves. If your daily routine changes, your demeanor may change too, and that can alter how others respond. Ancient cultures understood this connection long before modern psychology existed. Across civilizations, self-control was viewed as a source of strength. The ancient Stoics believed that a man who ruled himself could not easily be ruled by others. Eastern traditions often describe disciplined living as a path to clarity and inner peace. Many religious traditions teach that resisting temptation develops character and wisdom. The common thread isn't a claim that retaining semen grants supernatural powers. Rather, it's the idea that mastering impulses can reshape a person's habits, priorities, and identity. The Bible also places great emphasis on self-control. In Proverbs, wisdom is linked with restraint. In the New Testament, self-control is listed among the fruits of the Spirit. These teachings focus less on hidden powers and more on the character that grows through discipline. Now imagine two candles. One flickers wildly because every breeze moves it. The other burns steadily. Which one appears stronger? The steady flame. People often associate steadiness with confidence, confidence with competence, and competence with trustworthiness. This doesn't mean every disciplined man will receive attention from women, nor does it mean every glance carries romantic interest. Sometimes a glance is simply a glance, but consistent self-control can influence the qualities that many people naturally find appealing: calmness, confidence, attentiveness, and emotional stability. This is why so many men become confused. They begin retention. They feel more energetic. They stand taller. They become less anxious. Then they notice more eye contact and assume the semen itself is somehow radiating outward. A more grounded explanation is that their behavior has changed in subtle ways that others perceive, even if no one consciously realizes why. That doesn't make the experience any less meaningful. In fact, it may make it more powerful, because it suggests the change comes not from magic, but from becoming a more disciplined version of yourself. And discipline has always been attractive, not because it demands attention, but because it no longer needs it. Can I ask you something? If you've made it this far, you're probably serious about improving yourself. So tell me in the comments, what day are you on? And what's been the hardest challenge so far? I read as many comments as I can, and your experience might encourage someone else who's just starting.